Alright guys, so I want to break down 12 different reasons why your Kickstarter campaign is a failure and not a success. Now I've launched a good number of campaigns. I've created some products by myself and launched those. I've launched other people's products. I've worked side by side with some of the bigger agencies that are out there. And so I do feel like I'm really coming from a place of having some really good insights here. And I promise you that a few of these, you're just going to be like, nah, not that, or I don't have time for that, or whatever. But these things are 100% absolutely the reasons why your Kickstarter campaign is a failure. So number one is you didn't take the time to really study and get to know and understand the Kickstarter platform, how it works, why it works that way, what it does, and you didn't take the time to study which types of products have been and are currently successful. I see it way too often where people just think, oh, I heard this Kickstarter platform, you can launch a product and raise a bunch of money. True, but only if you really have done your homework and understand the platform, know which type of products succeed on the platform, and then have even gone and studied like how to put the campaign together and all that stuff. So the reason number one why people fail on Kickstarter is just they didn't educate themselves and do thorough study and research into what the platform is, how it works, and which types of products are good or bad to launch on Kickstarter. The very first time that I created a product and launched it on Kickstarter, it was a success. 50,000 in like 32 days. You can go watch a video that I made a couple years ago on that. But the reason that I was able to pull that off successfully with zero advertising, by the way, was because I went and I studied the platform and I studied which type of products are successful on the Kickstarter platform. And in all that studying, I noticed two things. And this is like hours, days, months of studying the platform before I decided on a product and before I hit launch on a Kickstarter campaign. All this studying, I noticed two things that were happening. Well, I noticed a lot of things, but I noticed two that I decided to put together. And this is essentially called cool hunting, where you just go onto the platform, look at the products that are successful, and just create your own based off of different trends that you see. And so two trends that I saw on Kickstarter was titanium products were doing really well, and they still do well to this day. And then also cups, which can also still do really well. And so what I decided to do is make a titanium cup. And then what I did is I studied, okay, what's the video style? What's the way to storytell on here? What's the things people care about hearing and seeing? What types of graphics? What's the flow of the Kickstarter page? All of that. Tons and tons of time researching into every little bit of that to understand the platform, what types of products work well on the platform, and how to actually design a Kickstarter campaign, because all of those things absolutely matter. And this isn't just for Kickstarter. I've worked on several different platforms and have made really good money on several different platforms now, and it's the same thing every time. I do my homework first. I do my research and study first, and then I decide to attack the platform. Moving into number two here, Kickstarter is about the product. So number 2 through 5 right now are going to be all about what your product is. And that's the main thing, guys, that is going to make or break a Kickstarter campaign. It's not the marketing, it's not the video, it's not getting influencers, it's not media outlets, it's the product. And that's why how I talked about in number 1, why I went on to Kickstarter and used Kickstarter to tell me what kind of product to create. Now, I'm not saying that you can't just come up with a product and have it succeed on Kickstarter. That is possible, but you will drastically increase your chances of a successful Kickstarter campaign by making a product that fits the Kickstarter platform. So number 2 here is your product just isn't a good product. And I know that's hard, can be very hard to accept, especially if it's a product that you've worked hard on, you're attached to, you've put a lot of effort into. But at the end of the day, the market gets to decide if your product is a good product or not. And in this specific case, the Kickstarter market, which is a different market than other markets, it's its own little bubble of a market. So if your product isn't like a good product according to other people, the market, like you could think it's the best, you can be super attached to it and love it and think it's a world-changing product, but it's not up to you. It's up to the market. It's up to random strangers that are gonna be browsing on Kickstarter. It's up to them to decide if your product is a good product or not. Number 3, this goes back to what I talked about in number 1, which is to take the time to understand, get to know what is the Kickstarter platform. Because Kickstarter is for new and innovative products. It's not for a new design on a t-shirt. It's not for products that already exist in the marketplace. It's for new, innovative, unique products. So number 3 is just simply that maybe it is a good product, but for the Kickstarter platform, it's not new, it's not unique, and it's not innovative. And that, I mean, if you just go read what Kickstarter is about, that's what Kickstarter is about. And once again, it's the market ultimately that is going to decide if your product is new and unique and innovative enough. That's not really up to you. But one thing you can absolutely do that I talked about to get a better idea of, okay, what is a new, innovative, unique type of product? Go on to Kickstarter and look at the products that have been most successful and most backed on Kickstarter and start to learn, like in the past and currently, and start to learn what kind of products succeed on here. To this Kickstarter market, to them, what is a new, unique, innovative product look like? And Kickstarter wants to help you with that. That's why they have, if you look right here, they have the most backed and the most funded tab right here. So you can click both of those and you can go through pages and pages and pages and see all the different kinds of products and all the different types of innovations and uniqueness that exist that have made these products successful on Kickstarter. So up until this point, these have been a little bit harsh. I've basically just been saying your product might suck. It might not be a good product. Even if you think it's the best, even if you put all the time in the world and just straight love into it, your product might just suck. And if your product sucks, then there's no way your Kickstarter is ever going to be a success. But now let's move to a little bit of a happier note. And let's say that you have made a product that is new and unique and innovative and is a good product. Number 4 here is just going to be that your product might be all of that, but still might not be a good fit for the Kickstarter platform. And the way you're really going to have to figure this out is, again, by going onto the platform and studying. Have products similar to mine succeeded on Kickstarter in the past, currently, and do that research. And if you can find campaigns that have been successful in similar categories, similar products, then that's a good thing. You absolutely want to find that and see that. That's proof that that type of product, that category of product, can be successful on Kickstarter. But there's still plenty of products that are good products. They are innovative. They are unique. There is a market for them, but that market is not Kickstarter. The product market fit isn't there for the product and Kickstarter. And so even though it's a great product, you have to go and find other ways to actually bring that product to life and make some money off. Number 5 is about pricing. This is a huge one that I see get overlooked a lot, and it's really sad because if you overlook this one, your product might meet all the criteria that we just talked about. Might be a great product for the market. It might be new, innovative. People might actually want it. But if you overprice it, especially on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter is a platform where people are giving you their money up front. They're just straight up donating it to you. And the exchange is that they get it at a lower cost than what it will be at when it hits retail, and that they get it before kind of everybody else gets it, and they got to play a part in actually bringing the product to life. And so if you overprice it, that's just going to be a huge turnoff. And you're just like, people, even if they think it's the greatest product, if it's too expensive, they're not going to back. And so you really need to pay attention to what your price point for your product is on your Kickstarter campaign, and not only just the price of the product, but your shipping prices as well. Don't overlook your shipping prices. I will say people are willing to pay for shipping on a Kickstarter campaign. You do not have to set it to free shipping, but they do have to be reasonable, good shipping prices. You can't overcharge for shipping, or again, people will just be turned off and they won't back even if it's the greatest product, just for that reason. And sadly, I've launched campaigns where we did pre-campaign advertising, we built big email lists, and then when we launched the campaign, barely any backers at all. And the only comments we were getting is, I'd pay $300 for this, but not $600. And it was just completely obvious that the product was way too expensive. And I was doing this campaign for a client, and I told them that even before we launched the campaign. I said, guys, this is way more expensive than anything like this that has succeeded on Kickstarter. And their response was just like, well, that's how much it costs from our manufacturer. And whether that was true or not, I don't know, right? I wasn't talking to their manufacturers about cost. But if that's the case, like, it's not going to work for you just to say, well, we just got to up the price and now the price is way too high and they're still going to buy it. No, if it's too expensive, you've got to rework the whole thing from the very beginning to be able to get it down to a price point that makes sense. And a really good way to figure out what price points you need to be able to hit is to find similar products that have succeeded on Kickstarter and look at the price points that they were charging. And that will give you a really good indication of, okay, we need to be right in that range if we want to have a successful campaign as well. So number 6 is about your funding goal. And there's a couple ways you need to look at this number. Number 1, what is the amount that you actually need to hit? What is the amount of money you actually need to have to place your first order with your manufacturer and bring this product to life? The second way you need to look at your funding goal number is you really, really, really want to be able to hit that within the first 24 to 48 hours. If you can hit it in the very first day, all the better. And the reason for that is because if you do that, that's going to trigger in the Kickstarter algorithm that people like your project, that it's a good project, people are interested in it, it's popular, and so Kickstarter will then take it and surface it up higher into rankings when people are browsing and stuff like that, and so more people will be able to find it and back it. But if you don't hit that goal quickly, then Kickstarter just sees that it's not really doing too well and isn't going to work hard at promoting it up and letting more people find it. So what you want to do is find the balance between how much you actually need and the lowest that you can actually set the goal, but without appearing too cheap, right? Like if you just put 500 as the goal or something, like that's not going to be, people are going to look at that and be like, really, $500 is all you need? But you want to be able to hit that quickly, so you want to set that as low as possible within reason without making it appear super cheap or like you don't actually need the money. So for example, if what you need is $20,000, then I would recommend trying to move that more towards like an $8,000 to $12,000 range and try and work really hard at being able to hit that in the first day or two. And then that should give you, if you're able to pull that off, that should give you enough momentum to drive you through 20,000 and beyond for the duration of the campaign. But if you set it way too high at the beginning and you're not able to hit it, then again, that's just not, Kickstarter is not going to want to promote that project, and so people just might not find you. Number 7, I can't believe honestly that this one actually still happens. This worked on Kickstarter like 7 or 8 years ago, like a long time ago. You could pull this off, but it not having a video or images on your campaign. I mentioned this again a little bit at the beginning, that you need, like, your campaign design matters. You need to spend time on the platform, on successful campaigns, studying the video style, studying the campaign page, the layout, the flow, what kinds of images, what kinds of GIFs, what kinds of copywriting, what are like the different sections that people are laying out. And so if you don't have any videos or images on your campaign, that's never going to work. And that leads well into number 8 here, which is a poor campaign design. That includes the video, that includes the graphics, that includes the copywriting. If that stuff's not done well, that's really going to affect your campaign negatively. Now I want to give you a really good tip here on creating a good campaign design. There's lots of people that know how to make a cool video or a cool graphic, but you really need to find someone who knows how to make videos and graphics and do copywriting for a Kickstarter campaign. How to tailor all of that design for a Kickstarter campaign and for a Kickstarter audience, a Kickstarter market, because the content and the way it's styled to be put on Kickstarter and to succeed on Kickstarter is very different, or at least can be it's very different than content that goes on a website or content that goes on social media. And this is where it goes back to what I talked about at the beginning. Study the campaigns, successful campaigns, study the videos, study the graphics, and really try and find someone who can deliver a art that is tailored to the Kickstarter platform. And that leads into number 9 here, which is poor storytelling. You might have a really cool video, you might have really cool graphics, but what's the story actually being told with them? Are they just cool, or are they cool and they're sending the right message? They're getting the right differentiating selling points across to people? Are they really helping people understand what the benefits are of this product, how it works, how it's going to improve their lives, why they need it? Those types of things, the messaging, the storytelling inside of all of the content and campaign design is really essential. Number 10, and I see this one a lot, and I completely understand it. I really do. People, because they'll just skip all the steps we just talked about basically and just be like, nope, I've got a great product, I love it, I've worked hard on it. And then they try and just rely on advertising to save the campaign. So number 10 is thinking advertising will save you. Advertising and marketing is only going to work if you've completely nailed all the other things that I just talked about. The product is good, like a good fit for Kickstarter. It's new, it's innovative, the Kickstarter market will want it. It's you've got a good campaign design, the video, the images, the storytelling is all in place and tailored to the Kickstarter platform. If you've done all that, then advertising and marketing is just going to be dumping more fuel on the fire and will absolutely help grow your campaign. But if you've skipped everything that I just talked about, and like people do it all the time, and I understand why, because you worked hard on the product, you think it's a good product, and so you just think it's all right, well, we just need to advertise this, find someone who's good at advertising, do some good marketing, and then it'll work. But the truth is, the easiest way to become successful and the easiest way to make your advertising and marketing work is all the steps that I just talked about, primarily what your product is. And is it a good fit for the Kickstarter platform? Is it new and innovative? But if you don't have all that in place, if your product's just, if it's not a good product, or if it's not the right fit for the Kickstarter platform, then trying to advertise and market is just going to be pouring more money down the drain because it's not going to work. And that leads into number 11 here, which is about Kickstarter agencies. Now, there's good and bad when it comes to agencies, but I kind of just want to point out the things that can go wrong for you to try hopefully save you from going down those roads. So again, number 1, the main thing is your product. And if your product is not the right product, not a good fit for Kickstarter, an agency, even the best agencies, are not going to be able to make your product a success. Now, some agencies, and I like when I see agencies do this, I do this, for myself when I'm helping clients with Kickstarter campaigns, but some agencies will have a weeding out process. They'll only take on certain products, certain campaigns, which I think is probably the better way to do it, because that means they're paying attention to the types of products that work on Kickstarter. They're really taking a look at your product and how it fits the Kickstarter market and how it fits, their advertising audiences that they already have built up, and they make their decisions based off of that. Other agencies will just take money up front from you, and then they'll say, okay, we're going to try and run some ads and see if we can make it profitable and drive more conversions to your campaign. And if they can't, then they're just like, sorry guys. But they still got their money up front. So they're not necessarily interested in the product all that much, and whether it's actually a good fit, whether they can actually turn it into a bigger success, because even if they can't, well, they still got a chunk of money up front, enough that made it worth it for them. And so I know, again, it's super repetitive, but your product is everything. If you get your product right, it's going to be a success and save you many headaches, and save you from trying to spend money on advertising and marketing and agencies that just aren't going to be able to make it work for you. So I'm not going to get into all the different agencies, which ones I think are good or bad. That's really for you to go and figure out. But I will say, just don't necessarily, it's not the agency necessarily that's going to make or break your campaign. It's your product. And if your product is right, then a good agency will absolutely be able to help scale your campaign and grow your campaign and make it more successful. Now, my last thought on agencies is, don't just trust them because they're a Kickstarter agency. Really look into things. I know, for example, some of them will build campaigns for you, but I've literally taken a campaign from a well-known agency that they built, they launched, and it flopped. And I went and looked at it because the creator of that campaign reached out and talked to me about it, and I went and looked at it, and the reason it flopped was because they built a terrible campaign. It wasn't, the video wasn't right, the campaign, the graphics weren't right, the storytelling was off, and all I did was I went in, I made a better campaign, launched it, and the campaign was a success. So just because it's a big or well-known agency just doesn't necessarily mean that they're really going to take the time and energy and effort, and maybe they don't have the skills to actually put things together like you need for a successful Kickstarter campaign. Number 12 here, and this is going to be the last one, you didn't do any pre-campaigning and you didn't build an email list for when you launch your Kickstarter campaign. Now, I'm going to throw in a little twist here and just say that this is slightly optional, but it's only slightly optional depending on how well your product is tailored to the Kickstarter platform. So, for example, going back to the example of the cup that I launched, the titanium cup, the way that I created that was by researching trends on Kickstarter, successful trends, and creating a product based strictly off of those trends that I saw on Kickstarter. And then with no advertising, with no pre-campaigning, no marketing, I just hit launch and it succeeded. But that's because the product was such a good fit based off of the research, all the research that I'd done for the Kickstarter platform. But if your product isn't built like that, it's not a perfect fit for organic Kickstarter success, then you absolutely want to do pre-campaigning where you're running ads, whether that's Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, whatever it may be, influencer marketing, to get people interested beforehand, collect their information beforehand, so that when you launch, you can send out an email blast and say, hey guys, we're live, come back to campaign right now. So that's all I got, guys. I promise each and every one of these is super important, and if you really work hard on nailing each one of these, you'll absolutely have a successful Kickstarter campaign. I know from talking to people that these are harsh, some of them, because some of it, like I said, is like saying your product's crap or your product's not a good fit for the platform, but this is just the reality of it. And so really work hard at nailing each one of these 12 steps. And if you want to reach out to me and talk about your product and potentially a Kickstarter campaign and marketing it, all that sort of stuff, I'm happy to do that, happy to talk to you about it. You can find in the description of this video links to my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and you can also go to the About section of my YouTube channel and find my email there. So feel free to reach out.